Tim, are you ready?
Yes.
Lee? Good. We're going to call to order the Effingham County Board of Commissioners meeting this February 2nd, 2021. And it is now 5:06. I'm going to ask the board and everyone here that please rise for the invocation and remain standing for the pledge of allegiance to our flag. Gracious Father, we are so thankful again to come together as friends, as commissioners in this community, as staff, to seek your wisdom and discernment as we hear the business of this county and make those decisions that are pleasing to you and good for those we serve. So guide us in the direction that we go. We pray for our county as we think about COVID tonight, our schools, our teachers, and all our first responders, and our elderly, and all those. And we just pray your protection of this county, and that we would all use the wisdom that you've given us to protect others around us. We ask all this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have our agenda for us tonight. Is there any additions or corrections to the agenda?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, staff is requesting to remove item number 5 under new business. That is a task order for design build contract for C2I Control Instruments Incorporated.
Okay, we're removing, not taking.
Removing, correct.
Any other additions or corrections?
No, sir.
I have a motion to accept the agenda with the removal of item number 5 under new business.
Make a motion to approve the agenda with said change.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Kiefer, second Mr. Burnett. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed no. And it carries. Item number 5 is minutes. Consideration to approve the January 19, 2021 Commissioner meeting minutes and the January 22nd and 23rd, 2021 retreat minutes. A motion to approve or corrections or additions to these minutes?
I abstain from voting no. I
Okay. Note that Mr. Luker is abstaining from this. He's not present for either of those meetings. Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve minutes as presented.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Deloach, second Mr. Floyd to approve the minutes as presented for these meetings. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed no. And it carries. I welcome all those who are visiting with us tonight from our public and our staff and those who are here, our leaders. The items of this agenda have been posted in our clerk's office and on the board's website. Ask if you have any comments related to any of the agenda material that you keep a couple of minutes if you would, so that others will have opportunities to share as well. And with that, we move into our consent agenda. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 items on our consent agenda, so if you're looking, I'll read through these. Sanitation. Item number 1, consideration to approve sanitation leases as submitted by administration staff and approved the fire chief, chief appraiser, and task commissioner. Approved by the fire chief appraiser, and task commissioner. Item number 2, 5, consideration to approve fire releases as submitted by administrative staff and approved by the fire chief appraiser, and task commissioner. Agreements. Consideration to approve to renew the public Wi-Fi service agreement with Planners Communication LLC for a 1-year period from March 20, 2021 to March 20, 2022. Item 4, consideration to approve to continue the probation service agreement with the City of Guyton. Item number 5, consideration to approve to continue the probation service agreement with the City of Springfield. Item number 6, consideration to approve to ratify and confirm and acceptance of award for a Rachel Ray Save Them All grant. These are our 6 consent agenda
Make a
items.
motion to approve as read.
Second.
Have a motion by Mr. Walker to approve the consent agenda, a second by Mr. Kiefer. All in favor, say aye. All of those no. Carries. Moving to our old business. 2 items of old business. Item number 1, consideration to approve the second reading of an application by Brett Bazinski to rezone 10.12 acres located at 430 Hospital Road from AR1 to B3 for a commercial site for Diesel Power Solutions LLC, map number 416, parcel number 3 in the 2nd district. Before I entertain a motion to approve the second reading, I have had a discussion with our attorney and our zoning administration and our manager. It doesn't appear that we can move forward with the second reading, as that would be a conflict, it would be a conditional zoning. If you remember, the B3 in the back was conditioned upon the pole being zone B3. I've talked with the applicant. If you want to come to the microphone. Okay. Probably won't necessarily, but I think we'll go ahead. Talk to Mr. Bazinski about this in order not to slow down the process for him, requiring 6 months if you would deny the second reading tonight, that denied the zoning. I'd ask if you would like to withdraw this request and make one application for the flag and the pole together. He's already submitted the plat for the flag and the pole. And I assume it'll take about 30 days for the planning board to get it back for us. And so we have an opportunity to approve it then as one plat in one B3 zone. So if you have any questions, I've been trying to answer them. Our attorney team, Judge understand what we were talking about?
Yes, I believe so.
Would you like to withdraw this application this time so you can go ahead and make a reapplication?
Mr. Chairman, can we waive any fees?
I don't want to couldn't waive any fees.
So what do you do? And I think sure I understand. So
you
so it's
explain for the board.
B3 from the road, Hodgeville, all the way through.
Right, the B3 we approved is on a private road. And our attorney recommended, and we thought it best to have, and also the planning board said you need to have access to Hospital Road. So he's subdividing that from that plat, but he's connecting that to this back parcel. What we approved the last time, what we advertised, the B3 back flag section. So we could not approve the B3 flag without re-advertising it. We've never advertised it.
No
So-
lands on that particular parcel were advertised. Gotcha.
So we can either table this and make him go back and just get that one little strip, or the better solution, according to Lee, and I'm going to answer if I say it's wrong, is to go and replat this, which he's done, give it to zoning, and make a new application, and make it all B3. It will comply with our intent. And, if we could do that, help him very rapidly, then we could be back in 30 days and start.
I agree with Commissioner Kiefer. There's a way we could waive the fee since we're doing this.
Okay, it's kind of
I think that'd be good.
Yeah,
To be able to work with that.
Might go along with that.
Is there any reason why the board can't just give recognition to waive the fees to redo this?
Yeah, I mean, I could make that recommendation as well, so without a formal vote, I can just,
Okay. Well, you have the board's approved record to waive the fees, so you can make the application, it'll just be a time.
for the second app, that's right.
Okay.
Appreciate that.
Then we can advertise it as one grant. Okay? So you willing to withdraw that request tonight?
Yes.
Okay. With that, there's no need for a second hearing or super need to vote. Lee, we need to vote on that? Approve the.
He's withdrawn.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, if you withdraw that request, we won't take a vote on this tonight, and we'll wait to hear back from zoning.
Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Sorry for that inconvenience, but it keeps it clean and correct. And legal, that's correct. Okay. Sorry for that confusion, but I wanted to clarify that. Not conditional zoning. Item number 2, second reading. Consideration to approve the second reading of an application by Green Acres LLC as agent for William B. Hutchinson for a variance located on Old Augusta Road to allow for a 30-foot access easement, map number 333, parcel 2 and 3 in the 3rd district. Do you have a motion to approve the second reading?
Make a motion to approve the second reading.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Deloach, second by Mr. Loper to approve the second reading. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. And it carries unanimously. And that moves us into our new business. Item number 1 under new business, the planning board recommends approving an application by Casey M. Ivy for a conditional use located at 244 Murrayville Road to create a cemetery site for the family use, map number 276, parcel number 1 in the first district. We'll open the public hearing and we'll hear from our staff first.
Yes, we received an application from Ms. Ivy for conditional use to create a cemetery. Her father passed away in December, and so his wish was to be buried on property. And in order to accommodate that, we have to take it through planning board and board of commissioners for approval of the private cemetery plot. You have a proposed plat in your packet. The conditions are the standard ones. The fencing must be 4 foot in height, and the cemetery boundary at least 10 feet from the road right of way neighboring parcels. And the plat indicates that all of that is the case. So staff recommend approval.
Is anyone here? Want to speak for
They may
this?
be on the phone. Is the applicant on the phone to discuss?
Yeah.
Yes.
What's the name? What's the name?
And what's your name?
Casey Ivy.
Okay.
Ms. Ivy, would you like to say anything at this time?
Would you like to say anything at this time?
I just appreciate y'all's help getting this done. I was telling Miss Teresa, it's wonderful of y'all to help get my daddy home. So I'll do whatever y'all need me to do to get this approved.
Okay.
Just one terrible problems about it.
Anyone tonight speaking against this application for conditional use? Hearing from no one, we'll close the public hearing. I'll see if there's any discussion by the board. Alternative 1 comes with 4 conditions under it. Is there a motion to approve alternative 1?
Make a motion to approve alternative 1 with the conditions set forth with that.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Floyd, second by Mr. Loper to approve this conditional use. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed no. And it carries. So we have a second reading. Consideration to approve the second reading of an application by Casey M. Ivy for a conditional use located at 244 Murray Hill Road to create a cemetery site for the family use, map number 276, parcel number 1 in the first district. Do I have a motion to approve the second reading?
Make a motion to approve the second reading.
Motion by Mr. Floyd, second by Mr. Kiefer to approve the second reading. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed no. And it carries. Ms. Ivy, it's been granted. You want to tell her?
Ms. Ivy, you've been approved.
Thank y'all so much. Thank you.
Have a good evening.
All right, we'll go to item number 3, consideration to approve a resolution, or approve a resolution 021-002, declaring T-SPLOS election results and authorizing a invalidate T-SPLOS bonds.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, in November, the voters approved the implementation of 1% transportation special project local option sales tax and the approval to issue up to $35 million in borrowing to be repaid via the T-SPLOS revenues. This resolution will officially declare the results of the election and will also authorize the county attorney and county manager to move forward with the validation process for the $35 million in general obligation debt in the Superior Court. Staff recommends alternative 1.
Just a quick question, is 35 million sufficient to cover the cities that they would want us to borrow?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. We've spoke with all 3 cities. Guyton and Springfield had indicated that they would like to borrow their portion in advance. So we will be providing them with a separate agreement, which we'll be presenting to the board once we issue the debt. Their pro rata share of the funds. Rinkin has declined. They indicated that they would prefer to continue as a pay-as-you-go option. And so we will, they will get their funds every year after the collection of the debt service has been satisfied.
This is not part of this motion tonight that may be made, but just a clarification, we're paying 1.25, is that our own bond rate?
That is what they're estimating right now. And once we do the validation and go to the market, we will be able to confirm what the rate will be.
I want to suggest that hopefully we can find what the objections to Lincoln, because it's such a great deal for our cities. Doesn't cost them anything, doesn't cost us anything. And for them to do their projects early to save the inflationary cost of the road projects that might be 2 and 3 and 4 years from now, hopefully they'll see the reason behind using 1.25 and getting it done. So just want to go on record making that known that I hope they'll reconsider.
Yeah, and they can. They have time to do so since we're borrowing the full 35 million.
Are we going to, will we have our project list ready? I guess Howard, we talked about a retreat, splitting that up and bid that out, send out the RFPs during the same time as.
Yes, and so we're in the process of doing that right now, of getting the, dividing these up, creating the RFPs, and the funds don't start collecting till April 1st, I believe. However, as soon as the bonds get validated and we actually begin to receive funds, we can start expending funds. So if we get it in advance of that, we could actually begin awarding contracts. And we can even do that for, I think, up to a 30-day look-back period prior to the bonds being issued. So we could be looking at potentially starting some work in early to mid-March on these for bond issuance in April. So we're moving as fast as we can.
Mr. Chairman, I think our staff and our partners have done a good job with keeping up with the details on this. I think we'll, we voted in November, and if we keep this timeline up, I think we'll be producing these projects very quickly.
Yeah, it's exciting to be able to get ahead of our transportation. Staff's done an excellent job. Appreciate our community supporting this and look forward to getting the money up front so we get the projects done as quickly as possible. That's great. And I hope we can see the foresight in that as well. Okay, so I see that staff is going to give us one recommendation to approve. Usually give us a 1 to deny. So the staff recommendation is alternative 1 to approve the resolution. Motion to approve alternative 1.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. DeLoach, second by Mr. Loper. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed no. It carries unanimously. Consideration, item number 4, contract. Consideration to approve a contract with GMAS Incorporated and issue a purchase order in the amount of $6,900 for classification and values for rural land and timber.
Good evening, Allison Bruton, purchasing agent. The county has a 4-year contract in place with GMAS for the classifications and values for rural land and timber. At the meeting on October 5th, the Board of Tax Assessors approved year 3 in the amount of $6,900 and are now requesting approval from the Board of Commissioners. The county attorneys previously reviewed and approved to form this agreement, so staff is recommending alternative 1.
Any questions or discussion for Ms. Allison? Have a motion to approve alternative 1.
Make motion to approve number 1.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Loper, second by Mr. DeLoach to approve alternative 1. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed no.
Thank you.
Carries. Thank you. Sir?
I say number 5. It's going.
Item number 6, since item number 5 has been removed, is consideration to approve the first reading of an ordinance to amend Chapter 10, Animal Section 10-1, 10-4, 10-71, 10-72, and 10-114. Effingham County Code of Ordinances.
Good evening, commissioners and the public that's joining us. I'm Eric Larson, Assistant County Manager. Before you is consideration for first reading of an ordinance amendment for our animals. This is not what you would think when you first hear the term animal ordinance. This is really an amendment to our current ordinance to allow dogs to use certain portions of our county facilities, specifically the dog parks within our county park system. We have revised Chapter 10 animals to allow for the use of dog parks and county recreation facilities by unleashed dogs and added definitions and made corrections and recommended approval of revised ordinance language that will allow community members to enjoy the use of county recreation facilities for their dogs. As you see in the executive session summary, the significant changes were reference to city and some of the statements were revised in that language as an administrative cleanup. Refine the definition of assistance dogs, CNI dogs, law enforcement animals, etc. Added the definition of dog park, obviously. The county is in the process of constructing. We've got one near completion ready to be opened at Panora Park and have 2 more in design phase for construction. So this ordinance will allow us to allow dogs that are currently prohibited in county facilities to utilize the dog parks, the walking trails, and other areas that will designate dog use as allowed. Attached to this, and as the attachment is the draft language, it's got the rules that will be followed for the park, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Dog park would be no good if our ordinance said you can't have any dogs in any of our parks.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I'm glad it specifies for the dog park and not just
Correct.
everywhere.
The ordinance was specified, except in those parks where it's designated.
Yes. Now, I will point out in the fine print of the definitions, it also includes boat ramps. We're going to allow the use of, we're going to allow leashed dogs at boat ramps because a lot of people will take their dog with them.
Comment?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I know there was some communication from the Sheriff's Office on this. There was a little bit of confusion. He thought this might be referencing to an overall animal control ordinance that our Animal Services Director has been promoting. This is not that. This is just limited to the dog park, and he confirmed to me that he was okay with moving forward with this.
Okay. Any other questions or discussions from the board?
But just to clarify, boil it all down, this is just for within the confines of the fenced area called dog park. Everywhere else will be leashed.
Yes, sir.
Any other question or discussion? Do you have a motion to approve alternative 1?
Make a motion to approve alternative number 1. Second.
Motion by Mr. Kiefer, second by Mr. Floyd to approve alternative 1. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed no. And it passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 7, consideration to approve the final plat for Turner subdivision located off Low Ground Road, consisting of 4 lots, map number 393, parcel 25.
So you approved the rezoning of the 2 small parcels of this at your last meeting, and I told you then that I'd be back with the final plat. And the reason I have to bring it to you as a final plat is that there's a total of 4 lots from the, coming, including the parent parcel, and so I didn't have authority to sign the to sign off on any more parcels here within the 12-month period. So the owner did want to get this all, get the lots sold, so we had to take it through the final plat process. The 3 of the lots have direct frontage onto Hodgeville Road, and 1 interior lot will be served by a 60-foot access easement, and that's currently in the form of a driveway that serves both houses now. All the lots will be served by well and septic, and it's only for the fact that there's a total of 4 parcels. This, I would have been able to sign this, so it has to come through as a final plat. It's a little unusual. We usually have more going on in the subdivision. This is just a function of being 4 parcels, and that's why it's here before you. Staff recommends approval.
Okay. I have a question, maybe this is for Lee. We spent some time discussing at the last meeting about major subdivisions, creating easements that we don't know who's going to maintain, how we're going to enforce it. And then when the road starts, or the easement, whatever it is, starts getting rutted out, and they start calling us to fix it. I was thinking that we had decided if it was a major subdivision, they needed an individually platted private road that had to be at county standards. I mean, I don't know where we're at with that. Maybe I'm thinking wrong, but are we going against our discussion? Maybe this was at a workshop we discussed that. Workshop. Everybody follow my question? We've got a major subdivision. Are we creating a future issue that if it's more than 3 lots, do we need them to go ahead and separate a road out?
I know we had some action items on that. I know we had some action items so we can put it on those areas. I don't remember what exactly they were.
One thing I saw was I looked at the plat, that easement that goes to lot number, and I don't want to just go with the staff if you think we need to approve this, but that parcel number 1, that easement cuts out about, looks to be like at least 50% of a 1.52 acre tract. I don't know how you can't build on the easement. I'm not sure how they're going to comply with it. I guess the easement can be used in the setbacks. It just looks like we're opening a can.
Looks like there's a house there already.
This was an AR1 zoned 14-acre property with Mr. Turner's house in parcel 1, and then behind it, the second home for Mr. Miller, which in AR1, 2 homes are allowed. The second home is supposed to be for a family member, but it's not something we can police very effectively. In this case, he placed his little home there with the intention of separating the lot. And that was in fact what the change was with last fall. The original intent was just to rezone the 1-acre parcel 2. That was originally all that was going to happen. But Mr. Turner, who owns the acreage, had an opportunity to sell 5 acres off the side, and that's parcel 4, and he took it. It was a good timing, he went ahead and took it. So I was able to sign that plat because it was just one subdivision, but it complicated the remainder of his plan because I couldn't sign off on the remainder. And we tried to talk him through different options, but he really needed to sell that 5 acres. He couldn't wait on that. And so because the 2 remaining proposed plots were less than 5 acres and had to be rezoned, we had to take him through that process. And the only option was for him to wait 12 months and then I could sign the next plat or come to you all for considering this a major subdivision. It's really just a function of our...
Yeah, it's explicitly within there after 12 months. They can...
Yeah.
And Mr. Chairman, too, I think on this, after reviewing it, while this easement does go across the property, is it owned by the same owner, the 2 parcels?
Currently, but Mr. Miller is going to be buying parcel 2. I mean, he's already living there. There's a driveway. This already exists. So.
Yeah, but the point being is that you would be requiring, if someone else, and Lee can correct me on this, but if the subdivision as it is right now is owned by the same person, they can't give an easement to themselves if they're splitting it off. So it would be left up to the attorney on the closing to determine that that back portion has proper easement to Low Ground Road. Is that?
That's correct.
Okay.
So really, he wouldn't have to even show that access.
That's correct.
On his plat.
Okay. So we don't have to worry about the easement. That's a ruling we'll get.
When he sells that back property, that's going to be the attorney's responsibility to make sure he's got proper access.
I just saw that, I thought, we creating a road issue in the future, I thought that discussion we had at the workshop, So I'm just raising a caution mark.
I mean, it's always good to talk about it. I mean, my thought would be, as long as it's these 4 lots only, and there's nothing in the back to where now we're going to continue to add on to this 60-foot easement, we're going to end up with 20 lots in the back trying to access it through this 60 feet. I think that would be problematic. But if it's only for these, because it looks like 2 of these parcels have direct access on
Two.
low ground, so we're only talking about 2 in the back.
So what I hear you saying is that if they would develop the back portions, we'd have an opportunity at that time to require a different type of access in order to approve.
It looks like parcel 3,
Right.
85% of it's a pond.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a future opportunity, I think, to try to develop those to make sure there's better access. Okay, just saw that after our intense discussions in the workshop, I want to raise some caution flags. Any other questions, discussion? So the alternative 1 is approve the final plat of Grady Turner 4-lot subdivision. Do you have a motion to approve alternative 1?
Make a motion to approve alternative.
Motion by Mr. Burnett, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Floyd. All in favor say aye. All opposed, no. And it is approved unanimously. Item number 8, final plat deed. Consideration to approve a final plat and quantity deed for Mill Creek Plantation Phase 3 located off of Chitney Road, map number 476D, parcel number 6.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I'm going to request that we table this until the next meeting. We do not have a signed plat. However, is the applicant here? The applicant is here, and so I wanted to give the applicant an opportunity to speak,
Okay.
rather than table this in the beginning.
Good afternoon. Terry Coleman with Coleman Company, representing Stuart Abel. We had some issues that we were working through beyond the plat. The things have been resolved. We do have a copy of the signed plat. We'll be happy to wait till the next meeting if that's y'all's decision. If we can deliver the signed plat tonight.
We wait to the next meeting?
Are we good if he's got signed plat? Because we reviewed it already. We just need a signature on it. So we reviewed the plat. We were waiting for the signatures. If we've got the plat with the signatures on it, I see no reason to.
Can you just verify that for me right quick? Because we got the information in our packet, we reviewed the section.
Yeah, I would just say, Colton, if you don't mind, just state on the record that there's been no change to that plat from the prior one that county staff has approved, just so we know it's the exact same one.
That is correct. There have been no changes to the plat since we sent the original scan over to Teresa.
Yeah, this is the same as this.
Okay, so we have a signed plat, so.
So I withdraw my
You don't need to withdraw.
request to table.
I'll just want to entertain a motion. Sounds good. Okay, we'll move forward. Any questions or discussions about the plat? Let me pull it back up. 1 second. The alternative 1 is to approve the final plat of Mill Creek Plantation Phase 3 and accept the roads and storm infrastructure identified in the warranty deed. Do you have a motion to approve alternative 1?
I'll make a motion to approve alternative number 1. Second.
Motion by Mr. Kiefer, second by Mr. Deloach to approve alternative 1. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Any carries? Very good.
Thank y'all, and the county staff did a fantastic job working with us to get this taken care of, so
Thank you.
thank y'all.
It's good to hear. We appreciate our staff.
Thank you.
Okay, item number 9, the plat and deed. Consideration to approve a plat and deed conveying property for the construction of the Hodgeville Road Fire Station.
Good evening, Clint Hodges, Fire Chief. Right now, Effingham County is in the process of constructing the Hodgeville Fire Station, which is in the rapidly growing southern area of the county. This item is just the plat and the quitclaim deed from the IDA to the Board of Commissioners in the amount of $10. So Staff recommends approval of alternative number 1.
Can't negotiate that $10? Any questions, discussions of the board? We have a motion to approve alternative 1.
Make a motion to approve on number 1.
Motion, Mr. Lucas, second by Mr. Kiefer to approve alternative 1. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Any carries? Thank you, sir. And that concludes the business of the board tonight, so we can see if there's any reports from our administrative staff or commissioners. Start with the
Yes,
commissioner.
just a quick update. This morning, Commissioner Deloach and myself hosted a conference call with DOT Board Chairman Ann Purcell regarding the status of Effingham Parkway. We wanted to give her a report on where we were, and so I will tell you that right now we are on target for a certification on March 5th and confirmed DOT schedule for letting in May of this year with awarding in July.
It's excellent. Excellent. Anything else you want to report tonight?
That's all.
It's excellent news. Man, I can't wait to see that first mobilization of a piece of equipment out there.
A decade-plus saga is coming to an end.
We just need to hire the right manager, right?
That's right.
Take all the credit.
Okay. Do you have anything for my clerk?
No, sir.
Okay, I'll check with our commissioners.
Good.
Mr. Deloach?
I've been told earlier that McClendon Enterprises will start on Dixie Drive tomorrow. That's been a really terrible road, so I'm extremely excited. Maybe not get chewed out here after they get done anymore, so I'm excited to hear that. That's all I have.
I have one thing. I got a call this morning from Ms. Harris with U.S. Fish and Wildlife. I know I briefly mentioned this at the workshop. They were meeting a vendor at Everhorn Boat Landing today at 1. She asked if I could be there with my 12 minutes, but I made it. They have some monies that they need to spend that have been collected through hunters, people using the refuge, and they want to install a dock, a floating dock at Everhorn Landing, which would be great. Obviously, the property's ours, so I don't know. We may have to look into some kind of intergovernment possible, but I don't know. It's possible they could want us to participate depending on the funds they need. It's not an elaborate dock. I can't imagine it being too. It'll have a kayak launch on the end of the dock. But they also want to meet they have bigger plans for the future on possible, just some planning down the road that, as this happens, then the next thing, the next need. So I'm going to try to coordinate and have a meeting with staff. And also something come up, and I don't know if y'all may know about this, like a kiosk being installed there by U.S. Fish and Wildlife.
No.
Now, it's not an electronic, when I say kiosk, I think the same thing. It's not, it's a sign with a little roof with a map of the river and the island across and maybe some guidelines, which is a good addition, but I didn't know, they didn't know what kind of agreement that may take. Is there any, do we have a problem with the federal government putting a sign on? I know we don't have a problem.
Is it federal or state funds?
Do I know?
It's federal or state funds that's doing this work?
Federal. So we may need to just look.
What we'll do prior to setting up a meeting, and we'll reach out tomorrow just to find out when, to try and schedule when everybody is available. Maybe we could possibly meet down there.
Yeah. it's just a great opportunity
It
there.
really is. The floating dock is really needed there. Any of you put a boat in there as we have. You just have to step into the water. There's sometimes glass. You wonder about, is there any snakes scrolling around in there? Because you can't pull a boat to a floating dock. It's just so much safer entry into the water. And
Yeah,
we need to put in for that a little bit. I would recommend this board and staff consider making that a blessing to our constituents and all of us who like to directly in the water.
Yeah, and I'm sure Eric could help with this, just pulling the old design plans for the new ramp that we put in. It may provide some data that they can use as far as high water line, low water, just getting it situated. But no, it's a good, and they're very big on public use. They kind of transitioned over the last 10 or 15 years from protecting wildlife, which they are about protecting the wildlife, but they've kind of moved a lot towards public use. So they're really pushing that. So, yeah, it was a good meeting.
It would be a great addition to that.
I brought up before about a sign being there. There's still no sign there that says there's a public boat ramp there. I
We
brought it up
don't
and
want
said
everybody to
7
know
months
about
ago.
that because it's easy to get in and out. More people know about the harder it is for me to get in and out.
Well, they redid the ramp and all this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm teasing.
And I suggested putting the average person don't know there's a public ramp there.
I see people all the time out there say they go down to the, I guess, the Fort Whitworth area, wherever, but I said, man, you're going way too far. We got a nice ramp right here.
I mean, we've had vandalism and dumping down there, but hopefully if we can just generate more traffic there, more good traffic.
You won't have as much.
Yeah, it'll slowly,
So we don't have, I didn't even notice that we don't have a sign there, maybe a little green sign.
We don't have nothing there.
Yeah, we need to get a sign, that'd be good. So I would just say,
Alcorn Road.
we've got support for the signage and maybe going forward with the floating docks, maybe.
And really a sign on Old Augusta.
Yeah.
And then, because you actually, technically you turn off Abercorn Road on the Abercorn Landing Road, which is very short.
But you're talking about the sign on Old Augusta, right?
Yeah. Yeah, once you turn in there, you can find the ramp.
Yeah.
Okay, I think it'd be great. I'd love to see that project.
That's all I got.
That's good, thank you, sir.
Just a quick discussion, got a call on, about McCall Road, the trains blocking the road excessively.
Yes, I got that call too. And we're trying to piece this together. It's some sort of, not staging area, but like almost like a storage area for cars that's been set up by Norfolk Southern. And so we're trying to figure it out whether this is a short-term problem or whether this is something that they're going to continue to do. But we're reaching out to Norfolk Southern to find out more about it.
You put me in that.
Okay.
And Tim, at the very minimum, they need some heads up. Because all of us who live north of there, we travel 3 miles down the road to find that it's blocked off. We had to go all the way back to Ralph Lauren and go back around, and we're late for our appointments.
Right.
So they can put some signage up at least that this road will be closed for this to this on this day.
Well, I think what's happening.
Extended,
It's a long line of like they created this kind of storage extra track, parallel track to it, and it takes time for them to back the trains into that storage. This is the way it was described to me, and so we're just trying to find out if whether those things are scheduled, how quickly they're going to be, or whether they're going to be regular occurrence. We just don't know. Because until I received that phone call, I wasn't even aware.
This was almost 20 minutes.
If they think it's going to be like Garden City.
Oh, yeah.
That's exactly what he said.
Then, yeah.
And there was that that workflow traffic in the morning too.
There was a day we went down, it was more than 20 minutes. We finally turned around and went back, and we were way very late. There's only a couple of places north of there, Ralph Lauren Road, I guess it is.
That's right.
No, it's not Ralph Lauren, it's the 275 that comes in. Is that right?
Well, it's Ron Station and Ralph
Ron
Lauren.
Station Road.
Yeah, Ron Station's the first one.
Yeah, if you put a sign at Ron Station Road, you come up McCall, people could turn off and go through Lincoln right then. And then put one at Little McCall with all the traffic comes to Little McCall and turns up going toward Lincoln. there's two locations that you can save a lot of traffic on that road. If they would give us the heads up, we could slap signs and their signs out there. So, it'd be great. That's a good point. I forgot how aggravated I was that morning. They seem like they're constantly working on it. Yeah. Is there anything from our staff?
But I think we should probably take, early on, begin with a fairly firm position on some of that.
Yes.
You know, just to,
Because it could get out of hand any worse. This is just the beginning. They're not even near full capacity yet at 8 hours.
That's a huge crossroad. I mean, the traffic was literally backed up for a mile at that time. That's how long
Yeah,
it
she
takes.
said
It takes a
they're
lot to
turning
get back up a
around,
mile.
bolting the ditches and just no warning and everything.
Okay, anything from any of our staff? Yes, sir.
I just wanted to remind you that tomorrow we're having a kickoff public meeting for the Transportation Master Plan. 1 o'clock and down in the large conference room is a presentation by the consultant for the public. 3 o'clock is for stakeholders. 3 o'clock is a virtual meeting, same material for stakeholders. And at 5 p.m. there's a public meeting at the Clarence Morgan Gym. And we encourage all of you to show up at one or all of those events if you'd like.
Will it be the same material for each event?
Yes.
So we can get there at 5. We won't miss anything.
No, sir.
So 1 o'clock is the first one here.
Yes, for stakeholders, members of the Transportation Advisory Board, yourself, et cetera. And then the public.
Sorry, to be there tomorrow at 5.
I have some dental work planned at 1 o'clock, so assuming all goes well,
We'll both
as soon as I can.
Thank you.
Okay. Hearing no one else, the executive session, is there a need for executive session?
No, sir.
Seeing no need for executive session, then we'll just look at item number 13 on the agenda. There's no need for minutes, there's no need. There's no executive session, so there are no executive session, right? Okay, so we are ready for adjournment. A motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Motion, Mr. Lewis, and Mr. Lewis, second that? Second. Okay. To adjourn, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. And we stand adjourned.